Okay, so we're going deep today on this whole OpenAI thing, um, and specifically TATANKA.site's take on it. They're doing some really interesting stuff using tech to amplify voices that don't always get heard. And we're looking at their article, DeepSeek, the end of the beginning of AI, to see how all these new AI tools could really shake things up, for everyone.
Yeah, it's like AI is going from this exclusive club to something everyone can access.
Yeah, exactly. And the article talks about how expensive and complex this stuff used to be. Like, it was really just for the big tech companies, right?
Right. I mean, think about the computing power you'd need to build these massive AI models. Not to mention all the data they use. It was just way out of reach for most people.
But then along comes DeepSeek. And the article says it's a total game changer because it somehow makes AI more efficient.
Well, they've figured out how to kind of streamline these AI models so they need less to run, like compressing a huge file so it'll fit on a thumb drive.
So instead of needing a supercomputer, you could run these programs on a regular laptop.
That's the idea. And then think about what that means. Suddenly, everyone can use AI, not just these big companies. Small businesses, artists, everyday people.
They call it AI 2.0.
Yeah.
Applied AI for all. So for people who don't code, what are the biggest changes they might see from this?
Well, let's say you're a teacher in a small town and you have AI on your school's computers. You could use it to tailor lessons for each student to match their learning style. Or a clinic could use it to help diagnose illnesses, even if they don't have a lot of resources.
So it's kind of leveling the playing field?
Exactly. And that leads to another really interesting idea from the article. AI as a tool for human expression. It talks about using AI for things like music, art, storytelling, but there's a twist.
Yeah, that part really jumped out at me too. It's like AI is becoming more diverse.
Yeah, instead of being shaped by a small group, AI can now reflect different cultures and languages. Like, we could have AI that incorporates indigenous traditions or helps artists from underrepresented backgrounds share their stories.
And TATANKA.site is actually already doing this.
It's pretty amazing. They're using AI to help indigenous voices create their own narratives. What's really interesting is how AI can also be used to preserve cultural heritage. Like, imagine an AI tool that can translate endangered languages, almost like helping to keep those cultures alive.
Yeah, it's like bridging the past and the future.
Yeah.
But it's not just about art and culture, right? The article also mentions how AI can be used to solve some of the big problems we're facing, like in healthcare, climate change.
Yeah, exactly. And DeepSeek is interesting because of how efficient it is. Think about a small village that doesn't have access to clean water. They could use an AI-powered system to figure out the safest water sources.
It's like having a team of experts right there in your pocket.
Exactly. And the article gets into all sorts of practical applications like that, especially for healthcare.
Yeah, and the article talks about AI being used in this really personalized way. There's this woman, Naima, who uses AI to preserve endangered languages. It's almost like she's rewriting history through technology.
Her story is so powerful. She's from Mumbai, and she's using AI to protect something incredibly precious, those languages that connect her to her heritage. And she had help from DeepSeek's AI humanoids.
AI humanoids, what are those exactly?
So they're these super advanced AI systems, but they're designed to be more than just tools. The article describes them as collaborators working alongside humans.
It's like AI is becoming a partner, not a replacement, like in those sci-fi stories.
It's a really important distinction, and it's about finding ways for humans and AI to work together to achieve things that neither could do alone.
Okay, so we've talked about how AI is becoming more accessible, how it can be used for creative expression and problem solving, and even how it can be a collaborator. What does this all mean for our listeners? Like, how can people actually start getting involved with AI 2.0?
Well, the good news is that there are already organizations like TATANKA.site that are working to make AI more accessible. They have resources and programs to help you get started, even if you've never worked with AI before.
So it's not just for the tech whizzes anymore.
Exactly. What's really exciting about this moment is that AI is becoming something that anyone can use to make a difference in the world. And that idea of anyone being able to make a difference with AI, it really ties into what the article calls an intelligence commons.
Right, the intelligence commons, like this big shared library of knowledge. Everyone can access it, contribute to it. But how do we actually get there? I mean, it sounds kind of like a utopia.
It's definitely a bold vision, but TATANKA.site and DeepSeek, they offer some clues about how to make it happen.
Okay, so what are they doing that we can learn from?
One thing is their focus on transparency. DeepSeek isn't just making AI more efficient, but also more understandable.
Right. Like you were saying before, we need to be able to see how the AI is actually working. Can't just be a black box.
Exactly. People need to be able to trust these systems, and that means understanding them. But, not everyone needs to become a coding expert.
Right, so how do you make AI transparent without requiring everyone to learn how to code?
It's all about good design and user-friendly interfaces. Think about your smartphone. You don't need to understand all the code to use it.
Yeah, it just works.
Right. AI can be designed that way too, with clear explanations, visualizations, things that help people understand what's happening.
So making it user-friendly, even for people who aren't tech-savvy.
Exactly. And that's where the human element comes in. The article talks about TATANKA.site creating a community around AI where people can learn from each other, share their experiences.
Oh yeah, they mentioned an AI Academy. What's that all about?
It's a training program, but it's not just about coding. They also cover things like responsible AI development, cultural awareness, using AI for social good.
So it's about the technical skills, but also the ethics of AI.
Exactly. It's like they're trying to create this new generation of AI developers who are not just skilled, but also thoughtful about the impact of their work.
With great power comes great responsibility. Right. And speaking of responsibility, what about those DeepSeek AI humanoids? The article makes it sound like they're not just passive assistants, but active collaborators. What's the difference?
It's a whole new way of thinking about AI. For a long time, the story has been about AI replacing humans, taking our jobs.
The whole robots are taking over thing.
Exactly. But DeepSeek is saying, what if AI is a partner? These humanoids are designed to work alongside us, to complement our skills, to help us achieve more.
So it's not about competition, but collaboration.
Exactly. The article says these humanoids can adapt to how we work, learn from our preferences, give us tailored support. It even talks about the AI absorbing someone's cadence, their pain, their aspirations, which is pretty wild when you think about it.
Wow, it almost sounds like they're talking about empathy, which kind of makes you wonder, if machines can be empathetic, could they ever become conscious?
That's a question that's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And we're probably not going to solve it here today.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But it's definitely interesting to think about.
What's really fascinating to me is that whether or not AI becomes conscious in the way we understand it, it's clear that this technology is going to change the world as we know it.
And the choices we make now about how we develop and use AI are going to shape that future.
That's why this intelligence commons idea is so important. If we want AI to be used for good, then everyone needs to have a voice in shaping it.
So it's not just about the technology, but about the values that guide how we use it.
And that brings us back to those big, real-world problems. The article mentions healthcare, climate change, inequality. These are challenges that need global cooperation, and AI could be a powerful tool for connecting people and resources in new ways.
Okay, so we've talked about transparency, community building, collaboration. But how do we actually put all of that into practice? What are some concrete steps we can take to ensure that AI is developed and used ethically?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? Making sure this tech is used for good. And the article mentions some of the potential problems, like data bias. Yeah, data bias is a big one. Basically, it means that the data used to train AI systems, it can reflect the biases that already exist in society.
So, like, if an AI is mostly trained on pictures of men wearing suits, it might not recognize women or people from different cultures.
Exactly. And that can have some really bad consequences, especially if those AI systems are making decisions about things like loans or hiring or even medical diagnoses.
It's like if you bake a cake with bad ingredients, it doesn't matter how good your recipe is, the cake's still going to taste awful.
That's a great way to put it. And it shows why it's so important to focus on the data, not just the algorithms. You have to make sure the data you're using is diverse and representative.
So it's not just about building better AI, it's also about having better data to train it on.
Absolutely. And that's where it becomes important to have people from different fields working together. You need social scientists, ethicists, domain experts, all working alongside computer scientists to make sure AI is developed responsibly.
The article also talks about governance structures. What does that look like for AI? Is it about creating new laws?
Well, it's partly about that. Yeah, we need some rules and regulations to make sure AI is used in a way that benefits everyone. But it's also about building a culture of responsibility around AI.
So it's not just about saying, you can't do this. It's about encouraging people to think about the impact of their work.
Exactly. It's about having a system that promotes transparency, accountability, ethical decision-making throughout the whole AI development process.
Okay, so better data, better AI, better rules. What else do we need to make this Intelligence commons a reality.
I think education is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
We need to make sure everyone understands how AI works, not just how to use it, but also the potential downsides.
So not just the how-to, but also the why and the should we.
Exactly. We need to help people develop the critical thinking skills to evaluate AI systems, to spot biases, to make good decisions about how they use AI.
It's like being a responsible citizen in this new world of AI.
That's a great way to think about it. And it's not just about the technical stuff. It's also about feeling a sense of responsibility for shaping the future of AI, because this technology is going to affect all of us.
This has been a really thought-provoking conversation. I think a lot of times we hear about AI in this abstract way,
Yeah.
but hearing stories like Naeema's, it makes it much more real.
It's a powerful reminder that AI isn't just some futuristic idea. It's something that people are using right now to make a difference in the world. And her story really shows how important it is to make these tools accessible to everyone.
And I love how the article ends with that quote. The best way to predict the future is to invent it. It's like a call to action.
Yeah, it's saying that we all have a role to play in shaping this future. And it's a future that's full of potential. AI could help us solve some of the world's biggest problems. It could unleash so much creativity and connect us in ways we never thought possible. But it's up to us to make sure it's used for good.
I don't know if I said it better myself. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of OpenAI, we'll leave you with this question. What kind of future will you invent with the power of AI? Thanks for joining us.